Hello everybody. In this video we are going to review the Messianic Jewish Rabbinical Council's basic practice for morning Shacharit service. Up till this point in our class we have reviewed the different pillars of the Shacharit service and gone through the Siddur to have a better understanding of what's there. And so what we want to cover today is the work that the MJRC has done to help provide some guidance into what is considered the basic or most important parts of the Shacharit service, assuming that we won't be able to pray all of it. What I'd like to do is actually just read to you excerpts from the MJRC Standards so that you don't have to dig through different parts, and I may provide some commentary along the way. The MJRC writes that our basic practice should include praying the Shema, the Amidah, and the Aleinu prayer each morning. Prayer may be recited in the person's native language or in Hebrew, whichever allows the individual to more actively engage in the prayer. We would, however, commend Hebrew as the preferred language of prayer. Of course, that's if possible. That's the basic guidance, and now we move into their commentary. The Shema consists of 3 paragraphs from the Torah: Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9, 11, verse 13 through 21, Numbers 15, 37 through 41. According to the Mishnah, these 3 paragraphs, plus the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, were recited daily by the priests who officiated in the temple. After the destruction of the temple, rabbinic tradition saw this recitation, minus the Decalogue, as incumbent upon all adult free Jewish males. Since Deuteronomy 6 verse 7 and 11 verse 19 command that we recite these words when you lie down and when you rise up, it was determined that the 3 paragraphs of the Shema should be recited each morning and evening. I will add that the reason for placing the obligation on men is because of the reality that time-bound obligations like praying at certain times were too difficult for busy mothers. In contemporary Judaism, this has been challenged, and at Ruach, we feel that the value of finding time for prayer is so critical, both for men and women. However, we certainly understand the realities of everyday life. Thus, these standards are a guide and an encouragement. While the MJRC commends praying the Shema and the following 3 paragraphs as a unit, the MJRC has decided that the basic practice will be only the Shema and the first paragraph, the V'ahavta, or you will love. So of course, you decide, but they wanted to make things just a little bit easier. Moving now to the Amidah, the standards continue. While the sages viewed the daily recitation of the Shema as ordained by the written Torah, they recognized that the 18 blessings of the weekday Amidah derived from the post-biblical period. Maimonides teaches that the commandment to pray daily is biblical, but the precise wording and timing of the Amidah, which fulfills that commandment, was determined by later tradition. Just as the recitation of the Shema can be traced back to temple practice, so the Amidah appears to have its origins in the prayers offered by the people while the priests fulfilled their sacrificial duties. Such prayers were offered by the crowds gathered in the temple courts in Luke 1, verse 10. When Peter and John go up to the temple at the time of the afternoon offering in Acts 3:1, and the author of Acts even speaks of it as the hour of prayer rather than the hour of sacrifice. Apparently, the devout would pray at this hour, even if they could not be in Jerusalem. Acts 10, verses 1 through 3 and verse 30. Thus, the Talmudic traditions that link the Amidah to the daily sacrifices appear to have some merit. This link would also explain the term Amidah, which means standing. This was the posture of the priests as they offered sacrifice, and it is also the posture of those who recite the Amidah, even today at the times of the daily sacrifices. While the Aleinu derives from a much later period than the Shema and the Amidah. It has been held in great esteem among all observant Jews for centuries and has become the customary way of ending every statutory service. His standards continue. When we pray the Shema, Amidah, and Aleinu daily, we are plunging into the heart and soul of traditional Jewish. The standards continue. When we pray the Shema, Amidah, and Aleinu daily, we are plunging into the heart and soul of the traditional Jewish encounter with God, and are also fulfilling Israel's corporate obligation to come before God as a priestly people. In short, the MJRC Standards of Observance place a high value on the Shema, the Amidah, and the Aleinu. So if you only have a short time to pray, just do that. It takes about 15 minutes to pray these prayers. Of course, pray in English if you don't know the Hebrew or it's easier to enter in. And what's important is that you make these words your own and use them as a springboard to improvise into your own spontaneous prayers as the Spirit of God would lead.